Hello, it's 66 days to election 2020. Welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from Joy 99.7 FM in Accra at digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, including ATL FM, Cape Coast, Radio Max Takrady, and around the world at myjoyonline.com. Coming up, displaced residents of West Mamprusy abandoned shelter and return to flooded communities to salvage remaining properties despite cautions from authorities.
These displaced people were brought here. Unfortunately, they have left their place to go back to their communities.
We'll bring you a live update as Vice President Dr. Baumia is expected in the community this afternoon. Also, National Security Secretariat steps up effort to prevent further destruction of state properties by separatist groups in the Volta region. We'll bring you details of a meeting with the House of Chiefs. Meanwhile, chiefs of Spodome, Bledi and Uvli, traditional areas in the Hohoi municipality, distance themselves from activities of the secessionists.
Bledi, as a traditional area, will forever remain part of the sovereign state of Ghana.
The Bledi traditional area wishes to reaffirm its support for the unity of the sovereign state of Ghana.
Also, police CID investigations reveal UG law professor Yaw Boakye was murdered by his cleaner and another person after he resisted being robbed. And later in the bulletin, we'll be at the University of Ghana, where Opokuwari School has kicked out two top Central Region schools, girls' schools, Wesley Girls and Holy Child School, in the quarterfinal stage of the National Science and Maths Quiz competition.
Later in sports, we'll find out.
School and Wesley Girls High School, thank you for being here. Best wishes in all you do. Opokuwari School, congratulations on winning the contest. Well done, and I look forward to seeing you in the semi-finals.
And of course, coming up in sport,
we'll find out why some clubs are yet to carry out COVID-19 tests despite starting training ahead of the new season.
My name is Mamavi Owusu-Aboagye. Details of all these stories and more coming up shortly. Now, Vice President Dr. Mamavi Owusu-Aboagye is headed to the Northeast region this afternoon to commiserate with flood victims in the West Mamprusy area. 3 communities have been affected, leaving a 3-year-old dead and about 700 residents displaced by the floods triggered by torrential rains. The displaced residents were rescued by NADMO and sent to temporary shelters in nearby communities. Joy News correspondent Eliasu Tanko has been on the ground since yesterday, and he reports the victims have abandoned the shelters and returned to their communities. Here's his update.
The neighborhood of Kukwazuku here, this is a primary school that was designated as a temporary camp for displaced people yesterday, and we know that in 2 communities about 700 people were displaced as a result of the collapse of 2 local dams in the area and weeks of torrential downpour. Now these people, some of them, we understand 70 of them were brought to this particular school facility. We have some of the items in the veranda. This actually is an uncompleted school building, and this morning we are here. The people themselves are not here. Our understanding is that the people somewhere in the night requested to go back to their flooded communities, and so managers of this facility had no option than to grant their request. As we speak, we can see their items here, but the people themselves are not here. Some of them, we understand, have also moved. These displaced people were brought here. Unfortunately, they have left their place to go back to their communities.
And that's our correspondent Eliasu Tanko, who actually joins us live now with some fresh updates. Eliasu, if you can hear me, where are the residents? And tell us if it's still raining.
Yes, some of the residents have actually gone back to their communities, and this morning there was coffee, and in the morning there was a few showers, but the rain has stopped as we speak right now. But the residents, I mean, the displaced people who were sent from their communities to several locations in the municipal capital here, lots of them have left, leaving their properties behind.
But Eliasu, how are they coping? Is it safe really for them to return to the communities?
Well, to the community and see a lot of their houses collapse. They told me that they have to sleep along the road, and most of them too are currently living with their families. I mean, few that they didn't go down. These people are living with their families and friends.
Can you reposition yourself? We're experiencing some breaks in that line of yours, so if you can just reposition yourself. Hello,
yes,
Eliasu?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you better now. You're updating us on how they're coping.
Yes, exactly. Saying that they are currently living with some of their families. They told me that everything they refuse, or some of them said the reason they refuse to go to the municipal capital is that they do not know whether the authorities will bring them back to their community. And so to make it easy for them, they want to sleep in their community so that they can wake up early morning, get to their houses and try and see if they'll be able to salvage some of their properties.
And Eliasu, you've also been talking to NADMO. What have they been telling you?
Well, NADMO is saying that they are that more communities are getting flooded. In fact, the NADMO coordinator has mentioned 3 communities, Boakudo, Bukuya, and Zaxelari, and as a result of the road diversion from these communities that got flooded yesterday, he's saying that these communities are also getting flooded this morning. But he's saying that they have relief items on standby, and
we have 13 households that are affected. Then 11 houses are completely collapsed. The number of rooms, we have 46. Keta, we have 19 households that are affected. Total number of persons affected, 215. 26 houses are collapsed, completely collapsed. The number of rooms, 112. Gagbini, 37 households are affected. Total number of persons affected, that's 400. 17 houses are collapsed. 183 rooms are affected. Then Dimia, we have 11 households that are affected. 173 persons affected. Then we have 4 houses being collapsed. Number of rooms 43. So in all, we have number of households that are affected are 80. Total number of persons involved 938. Number of houses that are collapsed we have 58. Then number of rooms that's 384. So not more, like you said, we were here yesterday when the incident happened. Myself and my men with the police were all on the ground. The MCE was there. We had to help the people to evacuate them to a safer place. Even we identified a place in Walawale and then Diani, that's one of the schools where some of them slept. And those who slept on the road, we tried to persuade them to go to the schools there to sleep. They didn't heed to that. And then we prepared food last night. We went around, we distributed the food. We provided them with mosquito net, mosquito coil, blankets, and the distribution is ongoing. Just this morning, we are arranging to bring some relief items to come and then support them again. It's unfortunate we are seeing this, and we've also advised them that, you know, the rooms are mud, they're mud buildings. So we advise them that because the ground is saturated, they should stay away from the houses for now. So we are trying to do our best to see how we can support the affected.
So, Eliasu, that's the NADMO official that you spoke to, but has the Vice President arrived?
Not yet. I have to speak. The municipal authorities are preparing at the assembly right now, waiting for his arrival.
Correspondent Eliasu Tanko will leave that here, but you recall Dr. Bawumia indicated when he spoke on Asempa FM that government will continue the construction of the Palugu Dam, which will, among others, address the perennial flooding in those areas.
The big one is the Palugu Dam. Palugu Dam, not the Palugu multi-purpose dam, and it will be the largest investment in northern Ghana since independence. Almost $1 billion is going in there. Doing flood control. Ever control the Bagri Dam flooding every year.
Yeah, but no, Marco cut a sword. But we've not seen work commence.
Work has commenced, but they were waiting to do the earthworks. Water na aban me call recently. So I'm so na air tunnel. Just a trouble because there were floods there
and you heard the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, speaking on our sister station, Asempa FM, just last Tuesday. Wednesday, I beg your pardon. Now, away from the flats, though, the National Security Secretariat has stepped up efforts to prevent further destruction of state properties by separatist groups in the Volta region. Top officials are currently holding a meeting with the Volta Regional House of Chiefs to provide an update on the latest measures. 7 days ago, major entry roads into the Volta region were blocked by persons agitating for a split of the region from Ghana. Here's a recap.
Exactly a week ago, the nation woke up to news of a takeover by one of three separatist groups of a police station at Ho, seizing 10 AK-47 assault rifles and inflicting gunshot wounds on a police commander.
We are still waiting for them. We are not cowards. We are the great-grandchildren of Togbi Charlie Aklomada, and we are still waiting for them to come. Soldiers can come. We are still waiting for them.
Before daybreak, the group had blocked entry routes from Accra to Ho, Aveime, Akuse, Sugakoper, among others, resulting in a major gridlock. It took hours before the roadblocks were removed. 31 people were arrested. Security analysts condemned the state's handling of the matter amidst allegations by the NDC of a government complicity.
They all took place within a certain time frame, and the failure of the state is that if you see that trucks were brought in to dump red earth on the roads to block them.
We are dealing with a situation which potentially has the involvement of state actors.
Information Minister Kojo Oponkroma fought off claims of intelligence failure, insisting the state had made a headway in dealing with the insurgents.
While the security agencies maintain a presence to avert any further developments, it will also be important to, in the coming days, provide more education, for example, on the false basis for which the persons who are leading these exercises sought to mobilize support.
I can tell you, as a matter of fact, that no, there was no intelligence failure.
Barely 24 hours later, news broke of fresh attacks.
When one of them was attacking me, the others behind the car were firing the shots. I saw the tip of the gun. It's a hunting rifle. They attacked the security man at the force station. They kicked him and he fell down.
This time, the SCC yard in Ho, where two buses were set ablaze by armed men who fired shots and assaulted staff. Clearly concerned about the matter, the Volta Regional House of Chiefs issued a statement indicating the unhappiness with government appointees who they claimed failed to show up for a meeting on the issue. Other chiefs expressed their readiness to deploy warriors if the state needed help.
The Assembly State Council is ready to deploy the warriors of Assembly State to protect the territories of Assembly State in collaboration with the securities of the nation.
President Akufo-Addo would later speak on the matter, first justifying his silence and insisting his security agencies were dealing with the matter.
I trust the security agencies, I trust the armed forces, I trust the police, the intelligence agencies. I know they're all working very, very, very hard to make sure that this matter is dealt with as quickly as possible.
But his main opponent, John Dramani Mahama, remained unimpressed.
It looks like the whole government is not serious about this. The president himself is not serious about it. No senior person has gone to the area anyway since this thing happened.
They have been calls by government to dialogue with the secessionists, but Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has other thoughts.
What they are looking for doesn't exist. It's a figment of their... In
the Abayinye opening put to say negotiations with Omo
with criminals. On what basis? Then it will be open to many things.
You heard the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, ending that news desk report. But my colleague MFR Pau joins us with the latest on the top meeting officials of the national security are holding with the traditional leaders. MFR, first tell us about who these officials are and what have you picked up in terms of measures to be rolled out.
Okay, so this meeting at the Volta Regional House of Chiefs in Ho, as we speak, is led by the National Security Minister himself, we are told. We're also told about representatives from the Defense Ministry. The Chieftaincy Minister, Kofi Jamesi himself, is also here. We have the Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, together with over 50 chiefs representing various traditional areas in the Volta region. Currently locked up in that meeting, of course, the President of the House of Chiefs himself is here. Toby Afede is himself here. The Acting President of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs, Toby Tepehodo, is is also here. We're told about Togbi Sui, Togbi Ajatefo of the Time traditional area is also here. And you can hear them. The entire media has been asked to step out of that meeting, even though before the meeting started, the media was in that meeting, but they've been told to step out. But you can hear some of the chiefs speaking on top of their voices out here, angrily raising concerns about the region, the situation in the Volta region as we speak, and asking for more respect for the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. So that's the situation currently as we speak. They are currently locked up in that meeting, hoping to address us after that meeting ends. But largely, it's about the security situation in the Volta region and how they can hope to resolve it. But as we speak, security has been stepped up in various installations and various parts of the Volta region. Entry points in the Volta region, the exact spot that the incident happened a week ago, that's the Abutia Junction at Joapon. Security has been beefed up. You see visible military, police presence at the various points, checkpoints, thorough checks of various vehicles that are entering the Volta region and exiting the Volta region. These checks are in place. And currently at the Volta Regional House of Chiefs, as we speak also, you see heavy military presence, heavy police presence, because of obviously we have security chiefs in here. And then in some cases, you can see the immigration service and of course the fire service also providing security at the premises as we speak now.
Okay. Also, we understand some members of the minority who earlier sat in the meeting have pulled out. You've been speaking to some of them. Did they say exactly why?
Okay, so there were supposed to be two meetings today, one with the Volta Regional House of Chiefs and the security chiefs. Then after that, they will have a meeting with the minority, the Volta caucus, actually, not just the minority, the Volta caucus in Parliament. But we are told now that that meeting has had to be cancelled because the minority caucus tells us that they have been instructed by their party with the blessing of the flag bearer of the party, Mr. John Dramani Mahama, that instead the security chiefs will meet a task force that has been put in place by their party, which is made up of the national chairman of the party, the former national security coordinator, Bevlo Lati, amongst others, for to meet instead, because this has taken a national dimension and not just parliamentary level. So they're taking it up a step notch and a step higher to ensure that this situation is resolved. So that's the situation. But I've been interacting with a spokesperson of the Volta Regional Caucus in Parliament, Samuel Owosu-Aboagye, explaining the situation further to us.
We will now discuss this matter at the national level. It should not be treated as just a Volta region matter. So that's the decision of the national leadership of our party, which we have conveyed to the regional minister. So we are now standing in readiness for the government security officials to indicate when they will be ready. Okay. If they tell us that they are ready to meet the national committee that has been set up by our flag bearer, we are ready today, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, whenever they communicate their readiness, we already stand in readiness to meet them. So that's the new arrangement which we've communicated to the regional minister.
Okay, so in that communication, how did they receive that latest arrangement from your side?
The regional minister received it in good faith. He agrees with us that this is a national threat, and Western Togoland secessionist agenda is not just a Volta region issue. It's a matter that can destabilize the entire country and multiple regions, as you do know. And even the sub-region, ECOWAS must also be taking interest in this matter, because other countries, present-day Togo, Ivory Coast, Benin, and all of that can be affected by this. So it's a grave threat, and at least in Ghana, it should be dealt with.
You heard the Member of Parliament for North Tong, Samuel Owosu-Aboagye, speaking there to my colleague, Emefa Apawe. In a related development, though, the chiefs of Fudoma, Bledi and Vli, traditional areas in the Hohoi municipality, have distanced themselves from the activities of the Volta secessionists. The chiefs label the act as treason and a dent on the image of the Volta region, which he says is known for peace and coherence, and express their readiness to cooperate with the government and the security agencies to deal with individuals perpetuating the secession agenda. They have been addressing the media in Ho.
No portion of Fudome traditional area will be allowed to be used for any subversive activities against the state. People of Fudome traditional area and I will cooperate fully with the government and its security agencies in arresting such defiant for the peace and sanity to prevail in the Volta region, but in particular in Ghana at large.
Hearing the unfortunate incidents for the first time made us feel very uncomfortable and unsafe in the hands of a rebel and terrorist group.
And you heard the representatives of chiefs of Fudum, Bledi, and Vli traditional areas in the Hohoi municipality. Elsewhere, the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service says its probe has revealed that the University of Ghana law professor Yaw Boakye, who was killed after he resisted being robbed. The act is said to have been carried out by his cleaner, who is said to have confessed, naming 3 others as his accomplices. He is said to have changed to his confession by naming another person, rather, as his sole helper. Director General of the CID COP, Ken Isaac Yeboah, has been briefing pressmen.
Because he had a key, a duplicate key of the professor, which the professor didn't know that he had a duplicate key, he had access to the place, and together with the new person that he has mentioned, they murdered him, and then the idea was to rob him, but the professor was not giving in as they expected, and so they hit him with an iron rod and then tied him, gagged him, and then he died. But so the motive, as we have gathered so far, is to rob him of some money. Now he has given us clue as to where he hid some of the items, where he has sold some of the items, so we are following up right now.
And we still stay with this matter. Let's get on the phone lines and speak to the head of our security desk, Gifty, Ando appear. Gifty, what exactly did the suspect allegedly take?
So, Mamavi, the Director General of the CID tells us that they took away 2 mobile phones of Professor Benin. They took away his CPU as well. So they left the monitor of the computer and took away the CPU. So the questions we've been asking the CID is, who steals a CPU without, the full complement? And they tell us that there's suspected to have been some monitoring information on that CPU. They thought the crime suspect tells them he threw it away. He dumped it in a septic tank because he thought that the information about his movement in the house would be on it. Apart from the mobile phones, they also took his wallet, which contains 450 CDs. That's what the police is saying the crime suspect and his accomplices took away from Professor Benin.
Gifty, what else will the police be doing at the crime scene they are revisiting?
So they're seeking to do, according to the Director General, 2 things. To find this CPU, which the crime suspect said he dumped in a septic tank. They're going to try and find that CPU in the tank. And they also want to find an iron rod. You heard the Director General say that he was hit in the head with that iron rod. They say the crime suspect told them he dumped it somewhere. They're going to try and find that iron rod as well. So one of the questions we've been asking is whether this development will slow down the case. They said that it will depend on what they find on the ground today and whether or not those named earlier by the crime suspects will be let go. He says that will, the CID says that will depend on investigations that will clear them completely of the murder, Mamavi.
And away from this, Gifty, did the CID provide any information on the case of the voter secessionists?
Now, that was one of the key questions on the minds of all the journalists who came here today, and it was us. But the CID told us that was not a question they are happy to answer at the moment. But when they are ready, they will let us in on what information they have as far as the voter secessionist attempt is concerned.
Head of our security desk, Gifty Ando appear there. You're listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM.
Wesley Girls High School has 37 points. Holy Child School has 40 points.
Coming up, we'll be at the University of Ghana, where Opokuwari School has kicked out 2 top Central Region girls' schools, Wesley Girls and Holy Child, in the quarter-final stage of the National Science and Maths Quiz competition.
Holy Child School and Wesley Girls High School, thank you for being here. Best wishes in all you do. Opokuwari School, congratulations on winning the contest. Well done, and I look forward to seeing you in the semi-finals.
Thanks for staying with us. You're listening to the Midday News. Time now for us to bring you some sports. Hans Mensando is right here. Hans?
Hi, Mamavi. And clubs across all levels of Ghana football are gearing up for the upcoming football season after government gave the all clear for the resumption of football. Premier League side Hearts of Oak have returned to training despite not testing their players as part of COVID-19 preventive measures. Spokesperson Labi Opariado explains why.
We have not conducted the COVID test for either the players or the management or the.
Can you tell me why?
Well, Nance, our reason is very simple. We think that it will not make too much. It will not make that sense to test these players and then you allow them to go home and then come back on daily basis on the training pitch every day. So what we intend to do is that we started training on Thursday. We are hoping that very soon we'll get it done. Then the whole team will move into camp so that they wouldn't be, they will not be exposed to the rest of the world. So that whatever that we have to go through, if somebody has one, we'll be able to protect that individual. If you don't have, then continue to know how we'll go about it. Whilst we continue to do it periodically before the league starts.
That's Labi Opariado, and he speaks for Accra Hearts of Oak. That's your sports.
Thanks, Hans. Now, the Conference of Heads of Assisted Senior High Schools, CHAS, says many public schools are yet to be hooked onto the free internet that government says it has provided. National President Yakubu Abubakar says only some schools in the Ashanti region have been connected, but majority in other regions are yet to benefit from the policy. His response comes after Vice President Dr. Mamavi Owusu-Aboagye, in an interview with Asemper FM, said 80% of senior high schools have been connected, including 260 district education offices and 46 colleges of education.
At least 80% of all our senior high schools have now been connected with free Wi-Fi. Yeah, that's the data we have. Can you imagine that? But I thought we'd finish it next year, right? Mm-hmm. But now they're testing the system. It's on, and I thought we'd finish it next year. And in addition to that, all the 260 district education offices and all the 46 colleges of education are also being hooked to the free Wi-Fi. And that is a real major step for us to allow digitization to drive our educational process.
And we can now hear from the National President of CHAS, Yakubu Abubakar.
As of now, the Ashanti Region platform for CHAS, I'm aware that some senior high schools have been connected to it. However, we still have many that have not been connected to it yet. For example, my own school, as the national president of CHAS, has not been hooked onto the Wi-Fi yet. As we speak, they have come to my school, they have passed on the wires, and they are left with bringing the gadget itself to come and fix them and then to hook us onto the Wi-Fi.
Yakubu Abubakar is National President of the Conference of Heads of Assisted Senior High Schools, speaking there to Joy News. Now, let's talk about the Joy News Habitat Fair, which is going to be launched later today at 4 p.m. So if you're looking for a house, whether 1 or 2 bedroom, or you want to secure a piece of land or a mortgage or financing for any of these, there's one place you should consider going today. It's the 2020 edition of the Joy News Habitat Fair, Ghana's biggest platform for real estate products and services. No matter what your preference is, that is the place for you. Max Fuga is head of marketing here at Multimedia. He tells us what to expect from this year's fair.
So far, DBS, Greater Plan City Expansion, Ghana Buy Investment, Dura Plus have all signed on, and we have already registered about 30 exhibitors. We believe that it will be a one-stop shop for everything housing, and then everybody who wants something to do in housing, whether they have housing you want to buy or you just need accessories, we want to assure you that this year we're going to put up a one-stop shopping for everything housing. You can either access these ones virtually or you can visit the location, which will be Accra International Conference Center, to interact with the various sponsors and exhibitors at this fair.
An Ashanti region-based Opokowari school has reduced the chances of a girls' school winning the 2020 National Science and Maths Quiz Trophy after they kicked out 2 top Central Region schools, Wesley Girls and Holy Child. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba joins us with a lot more on this. Maxwell, what's the very latest?
South Wesley Girls and then Holy Child School, meaning they're progressing to the semi-finals of the contest. Many thought that the two girls' schools would be able to, kick out Opokuwari School, but that wasn't the case. At the end of the day, the two-time winners actually showed class, outclassed the two girls' schools, and now they are cruising to the next stage of the competition. Also, coming up later today, we have Ogasco two-time winners. They've won the NSMQ Trophy 2007-2019. They're coming up against Accra Academy. And that's another contest a lot of people here are looking forward to. Already, the excitement is building up here at the University of Ghana Business School. And that contest will be live on the Joy News channel later today, Mamavi.
All right, we'll wait for it. 3 p.m. Defending champion Central Business College will clash with Accra Academy and Kumasi Secondary Technical School. Make sure you don't miss it. Mapito Sibidi is here with Show Business News.
All right, so actor Majid Michelle says the reason why people say there is no industry, a film industry, that is because they stopped filming. Speaking to Ibrahim Ben Bako on the sidelines of a creative arts masterclass, he called on his colleagues to stop asking government for funds and money. They should be creative and shoot more movies to help push the industry.
This is the first place we met, remember? Mm-hmm. Right there in that chair. And you looked at me, and I knew I was in trouble.
You make me so happy. We need to show it's creativity. It's not a lack of resources, it's a lack of creativity. Creativity attracts resources. But here we are saying we have to go to the government. We have to get money here. Who does that? We invented that before we boomed our industry in Ghana. No government official gave us money. We had businessmen who were ready to rest and make good stories. Then we called it an industry. The reason we say we don't have an industry is because we stopped shooting, have stopped filming, we have stopped making movies. We are the most talented in Africa. We have the best stories.
And you had the actor Majid Michelle. Coming up in business news, though.
Well, government has achieved more than half of its targets from the sale of a 2-year bond, the first time in several months. Details coming up at 1.
And that's it for the bulletin, the midday news here on Joy 99.7 FM and all our affiliates across the country. Our top headliners are displaced residents of West Mamprusi abandoned shelter and return to flooded communities to salvage remaining properties despite cautions from authorities. Log on to myjoyonline.com where we have more news. My name is Mamavi Owusu-Aboagye. But coming up after this, Dr. Mensa Otabel with Living Word on the theme Breaking Up Fallow Ground Part 2. That's all coming up.